All right, folks, welcome back to the World Championships for Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Obviously, we started with 79 teams trying to qualify all around the world. Got us down to 16, ended up with 15 because China had to drop out due to visa issues. We've had one match down so far. Unfortunately, the home team, Serbia, does get dropped down to the lower bracket of the group. They're not out yet, double elimination GSL-style brackets, but Sweden does send them to the lower. You weren't with us. Obviously, Richard Lewis has now joined us. The Angels have been united.
Well, I feel like I'm in heaven right now, so it's appropriate, isn't it?
Oh, let's do a 3. Let's just do a triad. Get your head.
This is going to be one of these awkward gifts.
I feel like you're in heaven. What, because you died already?
Nice.
A lot of us feel like we died, Rich.
I want to get your thoughts just really quickly on the match.
Well,
the Serbian.
I'll be honest. I thought maybe Serbia might have given a slightly better account of themselves. I don't think they're bad players by any stretch of the imagination. I was surprised by.
There you go.
Panda to the crowd.
There you go. Folks are starting to show
Cheers,
up
guys.
today.
I love you.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought they could have done better. I think. Sweden kind of surprised me a little bit actually with how much firepower they had, because I looked at that lineup and I was like, well, how is this going to work? Where are the frags going to come from? So it was good. I think Serbia can maybe, depending on who they play next in the next game, do some damage. We'll wait and see. But Sweden looking a lot better than I perhaps gave them some credit for. So.
And again, they will play the loser of this. We are in Group A. And let's jump right into it. Indonesia versus Germany. Again, we know all about Germany. So let's go ahead and start with them. Walk us through the Germany lineup.
I mean, I don't have it on screen right now, obviously, but we'll start with the star player.
Yeah.
A guy who really was legitimate world-class star player for the summer at the very least is Nex. Guy formerly of Penta, now he's obviously the star of Mouse Sports. He's very much had some amazing maps as Mouse Sports rose into one of those. They were finishing top 4 at events. Now the problem for him was, the one question mark was when they went to the major, they didn't do very well. They went out in the group stage unconvincingly, and unfortunately his performance was the one that dropped, and people did note that. Despite having played in a few majors, his level dropped off there. But individually, very skilled player, one of the world's best aimers, really strong rifle player, plays very much on his aim, so I think you've got to start with there when you look at the lineup. And then he's got many players who played with him in Penta, so 2 players who were Penta players before were Dennis and Speedy, who were in Mouse Sports up until recently, but obviously it was Speedy who actually had to make way for Nico coming into the lineup. But those 3 have played together a bunch of time. They've played like 2 majors together. They made it to the round of 8 of a major, I think, if I remember correctly. And then the other 2 players are 2 Penta players, but as in from a different era. So Crystal was playing with some of those guys in the past. He's quite well known as an AWPer. He actually did quite well in this tournament last year. He's a good player on Dust 2. And then the other guy is Tassin, and then he's the guy who of them you're not going to know as well. He hasn't had the same level of exposure. The Penta lineups that he's been part of haven't been as good. They haven't been as top tier, and so all that's going to play in their favor.
Like when me and Duncan were doing our preview before we came out here on our show, By the Numbers, Pay Us, we were talking about like which team's going to do well. Now the French lineup hadn't been announced by that point, and I was like, this is a team to watch. Germany can potentially win this whole thing, and it's not just because they've got high-profile players like Nex in there. It's about the synergy that they've got. They've got this actual blend of players that have all at some point sort of played with each other and know each other quite intimately. I think in Crystal, they've actually in a team where everything was geared about little boosts for him to get picks, and he was kind of like the star of that team. And when you lose all of the players around you, it's very hard to sort of keep the level up. So I'm expecting him to, he'll be loving it against a team like Indonesia. I think that'll be nice target practice for him right at the start. So I think Germany, for me, one of my picks for the whole tournament. I'm really looking forward to see how they do against this first test.
Okay. And obviously, Vendetta, you casted the first match, but now you're joining us, so welcome to the analyst desk.
Thank
and again, your thoughts on this Mouse Sports group, or I call them Mouse Sports.
Yeah.
Germany, basically.
Well,
Christian's also behind them, too, the big guy, so it's very intimidating fellow. So it's basically Mouse Sports plus a couple.
Well, that's kind of how Germany have been throughout the, history. It's Mouse Sports Penta. That's kind of how CSGO has been in Germany, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. They've pretty much played together at some point in time with each other. Only odd guy out is Tassin, and he's now in Penta. He used to play for Killerfish together with Tony and those guys, which you saw at APM. Yeah, exactly. So, they all know each other very well. They've played tons together, might not be in the same team, but I know that this should be a fairly easy game for them to start off their tournament.
One thing I think could be a concern for the Germany team, though, is as much as they have skilled players, they have players who play together. The one thing they're lacking, remember, is a really good in-game leader. Though.
Yes.
That's one thing they don't have in their team. So we said Sweden's got 3 of them in theory. Over on this side, what's made Mouse so brilliant now? Yes, it's Nex is the tip of the spear that's going to drive it home. Yes, some of the other players were the role players, but it was Godby's tactician. Well, tactical game, as it were, the in-game leading. And so they don't have that in this team. And I wonder how that will affect them. Because obviously, listen, it is a POG tournament. In theory, it shouldn't be that big a deal. But the German teams in general, they're not a country we think of as a POG team, actually, country. No. They're a country that always have set tactics. We know even when they do play maps like Dust 2, they're always that slow, grind-out style, trying to get picks. So that's just something as a little wrinkle I'm looking if that will affect them at all. Whether it'll just make them less effective or whether they can adapt.
Yeah, and I'm wondering who's going to pick up sort of calling duties for them, actually. I think that's going to be interesting.
It's going to be Crystal. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Crystal because, Duncan mentioned the fact that Penta has been to the round of 8 of a major. That's when they managed to beat Titan, managed to beat LGB. That was Crystal calling during those games. And he did a remarkable job opping and calling at the same time. And then obviously, you're able to kind of build up a team around you that way. And you could still play pretty puggy. They did really well in Dust 2 games on Dust 2. And I think that's something that they're going to take with them going into this. And they all have players who can perform really well on a map like that. Nex comes to mind with his, superior aim, that type of thing. So wouldn't be too surprised if we saw Germany going to a lot of Dust 2 whenever they get the opportunity to do so.
So a pretty known element in the Germany team. Other side of the coin for a lot of us is Indonesia. You're a little familiar with Vendetta, but I think for a lot of us, we want Asia back in esports big time, especially Counter-Strike, right? And obviously, some esports, they are huge. They own some sports, basically. But we talked about this last year. We want to see more of Asia.
Oh, yeah.
So, nice to see Singapore here. Nice to see Indonesia here. Your thoughts on Indonesia?
Indonesia probably going to be, the trampling mat for a lot of the teams that, thinking Sweden and thinking Germany. But, you can't really discourage them, throw them out of it just from the start. Judging from what they've done in the SEA region, which is an Indonesian team. They have 3 players here from that team. They've done very, very well. The last Mixbot Pro Invitational that they had in Asia right before this tournament, they managed to beat the Mongols, who, in turn had beaten out Tyloo, who was the original team to qualify for Premax Stockholm. So, we saw what Skyred did at Stockholm. They didn't go through or anything, but they definitely showed that they have the kind of players that can, play well versus the very best European players. So it's really fun to see. And given how, especially Rousseau, who's one of the players on the Indonesian team, has done, exemplary in the games they've played, I'm expecting a lot from him. Not necessarily the rest of his team, but I'm looking for him to be kind of like this tournament's crazy guy to really open up the eyes of a lot of people. Again,
not to put you on the spot, I don't know necessarily what you know about.
Me and Vendetta were having this conversation just before we went live, and that's like I can never pronounce it. It's Rosso or Russo.
Yeah, Russo. Yeah.
This guy, is somebody that obviously does have the talent to kind of mix it up with this level of players. And one of the things that you're going to capture the imagination of an audience that doesn't really watch a particular esport is you want that star player, that standout performance. So I'm going to be interested to see how he sort of copes with the pressure almost of, he knows that there's going to be eyes on him. He's going to be going up against elite level players. And if he can give a very good account of himself, that's kind of almost like the focal point for Indonesia. Like, I'd love Asian CS to take off more. I think we need to crack that market, maybe free to play.
Free to play, baby.
Yeah. Everyone hates me when I say that. Like, think of the cheaters. Yeah, but think of the Skrilla, you know what I mean? Think of how big the game will be. But I think he's definitely going to be a talismanic player for this team. And, if they can get a few rounds going against Germany, anything's possible. But still, that said, predictions, I think, comfortable win for Germany, something like 16-4, something like that.
Gonna come back to you. Prediction.
I'm going to go with like 16-7. I'm crossing my fingers that they're going to get a couple of rounds on the board.
And so then your thoughts on Indonesia and predictions.
Yeah, the thing is, Indonesia is not a region that's been completely missing from Counter-Strike history. In 1.6, we did have, there was the famous player Titans, and not to be confused with the Titans who were the Danish ones, but they were mainly made up of players from like Singapore. I think maybe they had like a Hong Kong player, and they had maybe some from Indonesia, because the key thing about that region is once you get outside of the Asian countries like China and Korea, etc., these people from Singapore, Indonesia, etc., they often tend to speak very good English, actually. It tends to sometimes be their first language even, so they can actually make mixed teams from the region, and you can supplement your talent that way. So the Titans team, they did some things. They made some round of 8s of certain tournaments before. They had some upset wins, so it's not like there's no history whatsoever, like you might think of with some of the modern day Counter-Strike Go. It's not very many Asian teams have ever done anything. I'm still not expecting, though, that against the talent of Germany, especially Dust 2 is a German map, I'm expecting this to be a big win for Germany, like 16-5, I think.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. That's going to wrap up this segment at the desk. This time bringing you the action is going to be Jackie and Kyanite. Gentlemen, take it away. Nice, bro.
Interesting game, to say the least. I mean, it's a bit of a wild card, really, on how this one's going to go. I don't reckon it's going to be a great game from a spectator standpoint, but hopefully we see some interesting things coming out from either side, really.
Yeah, one of the main things that's got me worried is the fact that we are playing Dust 2, and we know how much the Germans love their Dust 2. And, you know, on paper, the Germans, for me, just have far too much quality when you compare players individually as opposed to these Indonesians. But again, I really want to see how Razor does, because on paper, statistically, he's the key man for Indonesia here. And if he can have a magical game, then who knows what might happen. It is a BO1.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's the thing with both of these guys just being mixed teams. This is where it could get interesting. We can see people just really whip out something out of the complete darkness, so it could be interesting.
Yeah, so, I don't know, in your opinion, anyone you're looking out for on this German side?
For me, really, I like Crystal. I used to see a lot of his stuff back in the day, but I mean, more so now, he's still one of my favourite players from the German scene. So hopefully we can see him just really go big. Yeah,
very experienced. Was an AWPer back in CS Source as well. Had a bit of controversy back in Source, but let's not focus on that. And of course, he now plays for Penta, their main AWP player. But here we go. It actually seems like we are live with the pistol round. So Jackie, take us away.
Yeah, let's see how this one is going to go. A lot of players, I'm sure, right now as they're working their way towards the A site, trying to get a lot of attention from the CTs, but Indonesians absolutely split down the middle as they're caught out guard as the T's rotating back round towards long. Lesser is waiting in a prime time position very up close to that USP. This could get interesting, Kyanite, as they begin the push out.
It could, but USPS, let's see what he can do. Germany are going to be taking their time. The crossfire is on. Solfong is going to get a headshot. The Lesser as well from the corner with one. Will make it a double. And the Indonesians, surely they're not going to win this pistol round. Dennis and Spitty chiming with 2 of their own. And now it's FLX all alone.
Yeah, very far away as well. He's got his work away up short very quickly. The USP in hand, sprinting all the way. But Dennis and Spitty, they've had enough time to get themselves in some prime positions to hold him off. The bomb will be going down, and they'll go for the double face. Spamming away like a madman, trying to take him down, Kyanite, but he can't quite connect the shots.
No, a very difficult situation for him. And Dennis and Spitty just need to put a welcome mat down and wait for the Indonesian to come to him. And there we have it, 1-0 to the Germans on the T side here on Dust 2. And decent start for them, especially when you consider things looked a bit shaky going into long.
I mean, that's the thing, a couple of juicy one-taps here and there that could have just swung the tide of the round. Indonesia doing so much damage that early on. Germany, they looked a bit shaky until they were able to find their footing towards the end of the round.
So Indonesia losing the pistol round. They're pretty much only on the P250s and what they can, so they can go for the early buy. But Frosty Misty is actually going very aggressive up mid. None of the Germans watching this, and he may very well try to get himself a kill or 2. Dennis has spotted 1. Can they outnumber him? He's going to nail, double in the face. But can they brute force a bomb plant here, Germany?
Yeah, interesting stuff. They are able to take Dennis down finally, though, with the USB shot. But still, only 2 players left on that CT side, and they're going to have to be quick if they want to do anything. Ideally, they'll probably just hold back, try grab the gun, and save it.
Yeah, Indonesia, they won't really be able to buy up come the next round. So if Razor can hold on to this AK-47, the caster's curse kicked in. Nex is going to frag him, and Soifong will be killed as well. 2-0 to the Germans. Pretty much gone exactly as we expected it. And Indonesia, most likely a full eco from them, or the odd P250 or 2. Not much they can really do.
Yeah, I mean, you'd expect it on the eco. Not a lot Indonesia could do that. They went for the rush, trying it, of course, being led by Frost Misty, but it didn't work out for him. Unfortunately, caught off by Dennis.
It was nice to see that confidence to push up mid, though, try and surprise their opponents. And they got the odd kill or 2. Crystal now has this Mac 10. Spitty's going to be challenging that long, showing us why he is as crucial of a player as he is in his team. But meanwhile, Crystal and the rest of the lads will break into the B-bomb site, and they'll plant the bomb too.
Yeah, absolutely. He's there on their way in. Like an SAS takedown, but Tassin over on long, working his way up. Should be able to get the frag here from behind. Shuts down Sofong. Oh, Lesser is able to find next, though.
Fantastic play from Alessa, double with only the pistol. And they know exactly where he is, but it's a 2 versus 1. Crystal is very low, and he's picked up this AK-47. The bomb is ticking, and I think at the end of the day, Jackie, this is the right decision to try and pull out and save this AK. I think he's more than aware, due to a call from his teammate, that Crystal's very low, but he's falling back now to T-spawn, trying to hide himself, stay safe, and he'll now take this AK-47 to the next round. And obviously, it's going to be Indonesia's first buy round, the first proper gun round of the game, so fingers crossed for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Saves him a little bit of extra cash there, which he will be happy with. But as you're saying, the first full buy round for either side. Let's see how this one's going to go. The AWP going out on Sofong and one on Spiddy. It's going to be interesting to see, really, who could get the better of each other here. Sofong taking it towards long. Spiddy once again going to be going very aggressive. Of course, he's been putting a lot of pressure on long with the AK early round, but now with the AWP, he's able to connect the shot and shuts him down with absolute ease. Germany already taking a fast lead into this round.
Yeah, Spiddy's been let off his leash. His leash?
Off his leash.
And he's going to march towards the top of mid. Germany with full mid control. We could see the smokes and flashes go over to mid. They execute the mid to B, but the mid control means they can boost themselves over Xbox towards short, and it does seem like A is the target.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. 3 players on short, they're working their way up. Alessa, he is behind on long. Gets the angle right. Oh no, something's gone wrong from there, and Tassin was able to get the kill onto him. Frost Misty, still on A ramp though. Got to hold back the push from long and short at the same time, trying to buy himself some time, but he is able to get one frag. Turns it into the double. He will be trying to go for the triple, but he will begin to fall back.
Yeah, fantastic anticipation from Frosty. Knew that there were Germans on short, so most likely there's going to be someone looking to flank from long, but Germany know exactly what's happening here. They've trapped Frosty on the A-bomb site all by himself. They're going to go and flank towards B, and Spiddy, well, he used that smoke to his advantage, knew that Frosty Misty had to pretty much rotate through CT spawn or through mid. He's in a great position to capitalise. And Indonesia, they've been knocking, but the door has yet to be answered. 4-0 to Germany.
Yeah, they're going to have to step it up here and really start kicking down the door. But Spiddy and Crystal now rocking the double AWP setup. This is where things could get a bit juicy and they could really pull out some cheeky plays going into the following rounds. Go for the pre-fire a bit. They won't be able to connect on anyone just yet.
Seems like it's a stack onto short from Indonesia. 3 players going straight to short and 2 players inside the B-bomb site. But actually that player at the back of the B-bomb site was watching B ramp. Tassin gets caught with his pants down, and Sofong, if he checks beneath him, he will spot a German. It's going to be Alessa to come in with the CZ75 kill, and Indonesia have an upper hand, and they've got the AK-47, but still, do not underestimate the Germans.
No, that's very true. They do have the weapon advantage, and they're looking very angry right now. Firing away into CT. Spiddy leading the charge with the AWP. He's got to connect something, but he won't be able to. He's been ripped apart completely by Sofong there, and it's only 2 Ts left, Eldons and Crystal. He will be able to get the headshot onto FLX, though, and begin to equalise things a little bit.
Yeah, let's see. His next target's going to be. Crystal knows that he's got company at long. Out comes a P250. Crystal annihilates 2. And now suddenly it's a 2 versus 2. The Germans march on up long, but Razor is ready and waiting.
He is laying down the law there. Takes down Dennis in the backup of his teammate, running through the smoke to get the kill onto Crystal. And finally, Indonesia have stepped it up and they've gone big, getting their first round on the board.
Yeah, fair play to Indonesia. Especially when you consider that was an eco round for them. So
Top stuff. They need to build on this momentum. Use it as a motivation somewhat to get themselves back into the game. We're only in round number 6, it's still early days. So let's see what the Germans can do with this, well, it's safe to say, mixed buy, but they want to keep the pressure on their opponents. They know if they can reset their economy by making it 5-1, then Indonesia will find themselves again back on pistols.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was that more aggressive play that they whipped out during the eco, just trying it to see if it would work out. Trying to find an inch, and they will be able to. Crystal connecting the shot onto Rosu. Frost has to go big here as they begin the mid-push.
Yeah, the Frost position has been given away, but Dennis will terminate in nonetheless, and it seems like the split towards the B bomb site is in. FLX, he pushed out towards B ramp, could not get a single kill. Now it's all on Alessa to try and 1 versus 5.
Yeah, really a bit of awkward position there behind a wall of smoke that's blocking him out, and all the Ts are in nice crossfire positions to really hold him back. Aggressive play coming in though from next though. Will be punished for it before Crystal was able to get the trade.
Indonesia, really, they failed Well, we've seen it on numerous occasions now, Jackie, where Indonesia really failed to hold the B-bomb site at all. I mean, what do you think they should try and do to change it around?
Well, this is the interesting thing, of course. When they went a little bit more aggressive, really increased the tempo and tried something a little bit more shock and awe, it worked out for them. And this could be the style that they kind of want to take against Germany here. Germany, they're not really going for that much other than a split and pick, making sure they can get the first frag, allowing Speedy to really go in there head on, and then just working with it. Once again, Speedy leading the charge towards B site. He's going to go in here, try and get the pick with the backup of his teammates, and then they'll execute onto the site. They need to just spice things up a little bit.
Fantastic. It's going to be the first man to enter this B-bomb site, and it's going to be Dennis. Over at B, Indonesia, no armor, only pistols, falling like flies. And again, the B-bomb site belongs to Germany.
Yeah. Great job there, being able to get in. And now the retake looking to be on, using those P250s and CZs. Dennis, though, is in a nice crossfire position with the backup of his teammate and be able to get the headshot with ease. Speedy chimes in, as he will get dropped, and gets the second for free as well onto Soifong. Indonesia, not looking too fantastic there. That's a bit unfortunate for him, but of course on the eco, hopefully when they get back into having some rifles, they'll be able to do some damage.
Yeah, and here we go. Indonesia actually going for a pause, so fingers crossed we'll see a Pronax-like magical pause that will turn things around for the Indonesians. But what do you think they're going to be discussing right now?
It's interesting. It could be anything along the lines of just morale, of course, where they want to know what's been going wrong, what is the issue with the communication, how are they getting onto B site so easily, and just amongst themselves trying to fix these issues, just patch things up a little bit, because it is hard. You've got to think as well with the communications with these teams. I do believe 3 of the players on the Indonesian side all are actually from one of the same team and have been playing together for a little while, so they've got that sort of communication, that bit of bond, But as we've said, it is a whole mixed team tournament, the idea with the setup here, so people aren't as used to each other. It can be the interesting fact where, of course, they've had a bit of a break since the online stuff. Now at the LAN finals, the pressure is on. A couple of people just apple crumbling, and they've had a bit of a panic. So this is where they need to take the time and the pause out and just work out what's gone wrong and just iron it out.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess it's the same way. The same applies, for example, in football and normal sports, where you've got players who are contracted to certain clubs and they have certain teammates of all sorts of nationalities, as we see in Counter-Strike as well. They practice together, they're used to each other, they have that gelling,
structure that allows them to do everything.
Exactly, and then they go over to their national teams. You've got a bit of a mixed play. Some players have played together in the past, some players haven't, some players play for the same team, some players don't. And then basically, they put all their eggs in one basket, practice for these massive national events like this, and look to represent their nations with pride. And I hate to say it, Indonesia haven't exactly done that, but hopefully this pause is exactly what they need to really step things up and notice what's going wrong. And I guess in a situation like this as well, we were discussing it over there with Richard, that Sweden actually had a coach behind them. And sometimes having that extra 6th man on your side, especially when you're busy trying to play the game, sometimes you can't focus exactly on what's going on. You have that extra man behind you who's nice and fresh, who can sometimes pinpoint out what exactly is going wrong. And let's see how Indonesia are actually going to try and change this B hold, because Germany have been trying to abuse it.
Yeah, look at this. Frost Misty going very aggressive once again with his short push onto Crystal. He should be able to get the frag here, but oh no, Crystal, someone able to turn on him and shutting down Soifong, caught out in the open trying to go for an aggressive AWP pick, and it's all gone crumbling down, Kyanite.
Yeah, Indonesia, you said you wanted to see him change things around. They definitely did, but especially Frosty pushing up the top of mid, you cannot afford to lose that aim battle up against Crystal. FLX, he's been spotted and he's been nailed in the head. 7-1 Germany. And I guess that last round wasn't really tactical, it was just individual errors, and small errors end up in big mistakes.
I mean, it's interesting, that's the thing, all these little things that built up to the downfall of the Indonesian side there. They've realised that Team Germany put a lot of pressure on Long very early, so they backed off from Long, allowed Frost to go a bit more aggressive into top mid, but it's just everyone falling short and being able to get their picks that's caused the issues there. And Spiddy once again challenging on Long, firing away through the smoke, but he will back off. Dennis trying to take over his role. 4 members of the Indonesian side holding Long. Very aggressive now, but the Molly will force them to back off a little bit.
Yeah, Indonesia piled up at Long, hoping that Germany would decide to push Long and they'd be able to take them on as 5 P250 players. But same old story, Jackie, same old song playing on the MP3 player, constantly on loop. Germany, to B they go.
Yeah, off to the B-bomb site. FLX, he has to try and hold them back. Get at least 1 or 2 frags to buy some teammates some time to get over there. I don't know if he'll be able to. He's running around like a madman, trying to force him back. Speedy, meanwhile, on the other side of the map, is doing damage to all of the rotating CTs.
Yeah, Razor, surely that's only going to be a consolation, but no, Frosty missed it with a double, and maybe if Razor can work the magic we said we wanted to see, that could have been an Indonesian round, but the AKs prevail in the end, 8-1 to Germany, but it definitely looked more promising.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to spice things up a little bit here, and this is what is better, even though that makes more sense. But they're trying to sort of fix the pieces of the puzzle that have gone wrong, working out why is this not working here? What can we switch up on the holds that can really improve this, get that structure a little bit better? But once again, things come tumbling down like a card house. On that B-bomb site though, once again, Dennis and everyone charging in behind him like an absolute train. FLX will be able to get the first frag this time around, turns it into 2, and this is so much better. Dancing around the smoke, being able to hold them off, that was the job he needed to do.
Oh, great play to get 2 kills, but still somehow Indonesia find themselves a man down. Soifong's anticipating someone to be coming through double doors, but in fact, a player waiting to flank from lowers. Let's see what's going to happen. Are Indonesia both going to try and congregate in the same area towards B-Ramp and retake this bomb site? Yes, they are. And here we go. Can they do it? That is the question.
Yeah, this needs to be really big here, but from behind, one player pushing out mid. That's Darcy. He will be able to get the pick onto Alessa before Soifong turns around. Gets the trade, but it's not going to be enough. Crystal coming in there to finish off the round. And Germany looking so strong right now.
That's why I mentioned the player in lowers. It's so crucial, especially when you have that man advantage. Leave a lurker around, somewhere around the mid-area. Chances are you've already broken into the B-bomb site, so the other CTs make their way towards the bomb site, trying to retake it, heading over from A. Leave them at mid, catch them as they rotate, so the guys protecting the bomb don't have much work to deal with. But Indonesia, for massive around.
That's right. A bit of the famous buy there, trying to see what they can do, if they can potentially find a small crack back into this and try and keep on hammering at Germany. But right now, they're not doing too bad. They've got a bit of a tag over onto Dennis when he went for the face with the AWP. They'll be pretty happy with that. They just need to try and hold these angles a little bit here. Keep everyone forced out of position.
Frosty, this is the first time we're actually seeing him play this, and this is a really nice crossfire, but Frosty knows that the German troops are making their way in, but this is why we mentioned Nex earlier. That is what he can do. 3 kills from him.
And it probably at this point, Jackie, is going to be 10-1 to Germany.
Yeah, that was crazy. So much crisp aim coming out there. That was absolutely beautiful, being able to just rip all those heads off with ease.
Makes you wonder how he does it, especially that 3rd kill. It's definitely a joy to behold. I mean, regardless of the opposition you're up against, nothing really Indonesia could have done about that 3rd kill. 90-degree spin, boom, headshot, see you later. And now all Soifong can do is hope to get the odd exit frag or 2, or save the FAMAS. He went for the exit frags, but crossed their way off target.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing as well we were talking earlier in the pre-game, the individual skill on the Germany side is just so much higher, just tiers above, because of how just amazing these guys are when it comes down to just individual aim and just mechanics of the game. They really are just these sick top-tier players that can do the damage, and they're proving it now up against Indonesia. Once again, going for the famous buy here, trying to spice things up, seeing if they can do some damage out of nowhere.
There we go. The Germans are galloping towards the long area of the map, and now they're going to realise that there's no Indonesians around here. Is it going to be a stack on towards short? Flash goes out towards mid. Frosty looking to capitalise with a kill towards lower tunnels. Dealt damage onto Tassin, but couldn't finish it off. Now Germany, it seems like they're going to try maybe brute force their way through long, but someone's actually gone unnoticed up a ramp. It's going to be Nex who's looking to reap havoc. Spiddy from just behind the smoke is going to catch one of the Indonesians as well, and in the blink of an eye the Germans have an advantage, but Alessa flanking from long, turns around, spins around, see you later Tassin, swaps the FAMAS for an AK-47, and this is winnable without a doubt for Indonesia. Bomb has been lost, Crystal will pick it up. Can the Indonesians do it?
Low on HP though, FLX and Alessa, they need to do something really big here. Spiddy, he's going to be holding an angle, but meanwhile, Crystal over on long will get taken down by Alessa. This is beautiful stuff coming out from 45 seconds left on the clock, and he's got to be quick to be able to get that bomb and hold his angle. He's got to check everything here, going for the nade towards blue. That should get the frag, and it will take down Alessa. It's a one-on-one now, Can FLX pull it out of the bag?
This is it. Let's see if Spiddy can shake off the damage he's already entailed. Get this bomb planted. He's just about going to manage to run away from FLX, and I think FLX knows exactly what's coming. 20 seconds on the clock. Spiddy's looking towards short, but FLX is going to peek around the corner, and he will finish off Spiddy. Finally, something for the Indonesians to scream and shout about. I was going to say smile, but as you can see, they're not too happy at the moment, but at least they finally got round number 2.
Yeah, this is good stuff, and this is the thing. They need to keep doing damage here. They have to try and build themselves a buffer, because right now they've got nothing to work with, and this is the thing. If we saw them going into the second half, if they lose out on pistol, it would just be absolutely dreadful for them. They're basically, they wouldn't have a leg to stand on, so they have to keep doing the damage, trying to wear down at Germany now, even towards the end of the fight. You cannot give up. I mean, at the end of the day, Counter-Strike is confidence, and Indonesia need to keep showing this confidence we've seen come out in the later rounds. Pursue there, getting the frag onto Spiddy, but unfortunately Tassin will retaliate onto Frost.
Yeah, but Tassin knows that there is going to be another player hiding towards short. That nade, fortunately for Indonesia, not dealing too much damage. It's 4-on-4 with Germany. They've got the mid control. We could very well see them try and push off short, get a few smokes on towards the A-bomb site, single out that single defender and try and plant. Or, if that fails, they could fall back to plan B and try and split B. A few players do lower tunnels through upper, and a few players smoking off through C and heading through the mid to B area.
Tarsin leading the charge of those. They work towards that A site. Does he realise from behind how long we do have the Indonesian side trying to hold it off, but they won't be able to do a lot as Alessa gets picked off. Realises there's a second. He will be able to spray him down as well, taking out Soifong. Two members standing on that CT side. They're going to have to really do something absolutely crazy to do damage. Crystal in a prime time position to go big though with that AWP. Will have to fall back after missing the first shot.
Yeah, good positioning. Knows that he found himself in a pickle. And in fact, there's going to be another German player coming from the back of mid to just take a peek, see if any more Indonesians are actually there. But now they've fallen back towards tunnels. They're going to be hoping to save onto these weapons. But Jackie, the Germans are hunting them down.
Yeah, they are, but with this weapon, T-Spawn potentially being able to get a frag, he will do as well. FLX over and lower being able to pick up 2. This is really good for him, doing an awful lot of damage for the economy towards the late game. It's not going to matter too much. Germany have an awful lot of cash, but this is still better stuff coming out.
Insult to injury.
Yeah, the apple crumble.
Just feels like nothing's going right for the Indonesians. Shame, really. But they've got to show us how much character they have. They can't let their heads drop. They've got to stay focused. On paper, were we really expecting Indonesia to win this one? Maybe not, but we want to see a better performance. We want to see a better game on our hands.
Yeah, so let's see if maybe they can pull something out of the bag here towards the end. Tarsin working his way towards that B-bomb site. Will be going up against 2 CTs, jumping in and out, and they will finally somehow be able to get the frag onto Tarsin. That's Rasul leading the charge. Cross Misty working his way behind a player on short, but Crystal was too crappy for him. Turned around and got the frag, and the A site is completely under terrorist control now.
Yeah, Razor's salvaged a Kalashnikov. Alessa, meanwhile, only on a P250. Nex is hunting all these Indonesians, trying to sniff them out. I think Razor's just going to stay hidden towards a B-bomb site, hold on to this AK-47, and Alessa's going to see if he can get one of his own, and very well may be able to if he can just pick it up and get away with it.
But from behind though, Nex working his way like a predator. Won't be able to get the frag. Dennis will turn around and take him down, just as we expected. Working his way from behind there on the flank. And we'll see over on the B-bomb site. The nade comes rolling in and blows him out of the server. Really unfortunate stuff there.
I mean, if you were this Indonesian in-game leader right now, what would you be saying to try and rally the troops on your team?
I mean, I really don't know. This is the thing. They've gone through so many different styles of play here. First of all, starting off with a more defensive style, not going for the peaks, just trying to hold back a little bit. But
4 orbs.
Oh yeah, on the other side, the quad AWP play. I mean, it's just a bit of insult to injury there, and it's going to work out as they get the frag onto FLX. Still firing away though. You would expect to be in last round. You might as well spend that extra cash and then go back to your AKs.
Indonesia looking to put their foot down at mid, but Crystal anticipate Alessa pushing.
Oh, couldn't make it 2 in a row. Now the Germans, they need to retaliate, but Soifong thinks otherwise with the FAMAS gets a kill. Dennis will get caught out in lower tunnels as well. 2 versus 1. If Razor can maybe just drop Nex and turn this into a 1 versus 1, who knows whether it can be the 3rd round for Indonesia. And there it is, 1 versus 1. Bomb will go down now on A, and it's going to be a battle of wits in this clutch situation.
Yeah, this is all going to be about who has the bigger brain here, who can really bring it down to the wire. Speedy going for an interesting bomb plant there, so we can watch it from home. But I believe the way he's planted that too far back, it could actually be diffused from the back of the box. So this is interesting, potentially.
Well, let's see if that theory's going to be correct. Razor's actually coming from CT spawn, and, well, the game's been given up from Razor. And there it is, Spitty does what Spitty normally does best. It's the AWP shot, and Germany will be marching into the second half with a 13-2 lead.
Yeah, really soaring ahead there, and that's what we were talking about, just leading the charge. I mean, some of the aim we've seen coming out, some of the shots has just been beautiful. The Indonesian side struggling a little bit. You know, it's not what you want to see. Hopefully on this T side, maybe this is where they can just pull something out of the bag, just go a little bit more aggressive, allow themselves to have that freedom, come off the leash, go for the more aggressive faces, and just see how this one's going to roll.
Yeah, they've got nothing to lose, really. And at the end of the day, they lose this pistol round, and that's it. They're going to drop down to the lower bracket of the group. So let's see what they can come up with. I've honestly got my fingers crossed for them. And here we go. They came close to winning the initial pistol round. They didn't do it in the end. Let's see if they can make it happen this time.
I mean, that's the thing. We saw some really juicy shots coming out from it. It was just a little bit of communication errors that led down to the breakdown at the end of that original pistol round. So this time around, let's see if it's going to be any different. The boost going out from the CTs towards short as they go for the double mid face. When they have the backup from short, bomb being dropped towards long, and here it is. The charge up mid. Spiddy is able to get one onto FLX, doing an awful lot of damage very early on into the game. Next gets one as well, and this is big stuff. 2 Ts down already.
Yeah, the Germans opening fire at mid, doing what the Indonesians tried to do against them. Crystal will pop off the head of Razor. Tassin looks to try and replicate the exact same thing, and it's a 5 versus 2. The Indonesians really holding onto a thread, and now Saifong is in a 1 versus 4.
It's unfortunate for him getting picked off. Spiddy there, he went for the mid phase, but it's not worked. I mean, that's just what I was saying. The aggressive play from Germany, they just absolutely ram-raided into the T side and blown apart the Indonesians. That's so unfortunate for them. You never know, though. I mean, they're not going to have a lot of money, and of course, this is what we're saying. If Germany pick up the pistol round, the next few rounds are basically theirs for free, and going for the P90 buy it. Charging up mid with a backup of Dennis. This is where things could get absolutely terrible for the Ts as they all begin to get sprayed down, ripped apart completely. Somehow, FLX is able to connect the shot there whilst he's running away with the Glock. But Spiddy is in a prime position to just mow him down with that M4, and he's able to connect the headshot.
Did Indonesia plant on the initial pistol? Or well, on the second half pistol? Just a question. Because if they haven't, it means that they made that decision in the last round to stick to pretty much only Glock so that they can force buy up everything they can this round. Rather than force buy things up maybe the Armor Tech 9 last round. So that's the decision that they end up going for. They've got these Galils, they've got a Scout and an AK-47 now. You know, when you compare the firepower on both sides, it's pretty equal. So let's see if Indonesia can actually win this round. Tassin going so aggressive from B, and his teammate Crystal tried to do the same at long, but LS is actually going to get right behind the Germans. Down goes one as he looks to clutter the second. Spiddy's going to get an M4 kill elsewhere on the map, and it's all kicking off here on Dust 2, Jackie.
It absolutely is. This is just brutal to watch now. Taking down into the 2v2. I mean, this basically favours the T side here. They're a lot better positions to work their way towards that A site. Germany spread so thin right now. Nex and Dennis, they have to be quick to sprint over towards the A site, and I mean, this is the thing. They can get the bomb down. They've got enough time to leisurely get themselves into afterplants, hold the angles, get prepared for this, and really, Indonesia are looking fairly strong right now.
Yeah, for sure. And both players were initially in tunnels, and Nex decided to go from lowers to short, and the other, in Dennis, actually went through T-spawn to try and come from long, but Nex maybe should have waited for his teammate. They want to try and retake this bomb site together, not peek 1 by 1 up against 2 terrorists, and can Dennis clutch this round?
Like an absolute madman, but he won't be able to. FLX will take him down, and Indonesia getting 3 rounds on the board now. This is so much better for them. Hopefully, they can keep this newfound form up. I mean, it was a bit iffy. As you said, they've gone for the all-out buy. They risked it for a biscuit, and somehow it's paid off. They were able to beat Germany now, but can they do it again?
Yep, they gave match point to their opponents. But as we can see, because Germany won so many consecutive rounds, they still have money to work with. It's still going to be very, very tight. But again, you can't help but favour the terrorists. They've got the AK-47 one-shot headshot. On paper, slightly better weapon. But as we know, having the slightly stronger weapon isn't exactly always a deal-breaker in CSGO.
This is the thing as well. With that B-site play, one player up top with the Mag 7, another player trying to bait the T's out. If Indonesia fall for this could be fairly brutal. Nothing just yet, playing it slow, they're waiting for the picks, and this is good play for them. Nice patience, everyone looking fairly drilled right now, allowing Germany to bring the frags to Indonesia.
Go Nex is expecting Indonesians to be coming through the smoke. Dennis is actually hiding on the double boxes, but he's going to get headshotted. Nex as well will fall to the floor, and the B bomb site belongs to Indonesia. Crystal looking to rotate from CT spawn. I'm not quite sure if he spotted that terrorist hiding in the smoke, but Spiddy and Crystal, by the looks of things, Jackie, just want to hold on to these FAMASs, and you can't really blame them.
Yeah, no reason to throw these rifles into the wind. They're going to get the hell out of there and just try and save them for the next round.
Makes you wonder as well. Dennis, he was on the B bomb site, on top of that double box. He had no armor, he only had the Swag 7. Maybe, just maybe, if he was actually one of the players with armor and a FAMAS, he could have gotten 2 kills quite easily. So who knows? I guess we can't really go to an alternative reality, but
I mean, that was the play that they went for, one player up on top as they charge in late round and actually getting picked off. Interesting. I mean, that's the thing. They went for the setup there where, of course, one player was trying to bait them out so he could be hidden up top. A lot of focus going on the player with the M4, and then he would do some damage with a lot of the Mag 7. Potentially try to get 1 or 2 frags there or just tag them. But it's the way they went for. He was rotating off to mid, a lot of noise at mid. That was the idea, to try and sell the fake, and forcing him off the site when they went for the push. He wasn't able to do much by himself. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
So smart thinking there from Indonesia, really, you know, risking something like that, and it's worked out not too badly for them.
Yeah. So here we go. Mini handguns for the Germans, but Dennis could very well pick an AK-47. Oh no, Frosty's not going to let him do that. Frosty's going to get a double. Nex as well pushed the tunnels. FLX is going to chime in with a kill of his own. And Spiddy and Tassin now to try and get this all-important 16th round. It's still a very, very bumpy ride, a very steep hill for the Indonesians to try and climb, but who knows whether they can do it.
Potentially so. Spiddy there once again though, whipping out that crazy aim, allowing to connect the shot there, the jump shot. Onto Soifong, still working his way forward, checking his angles one by one, trying to robot take the site here, but it's not going to work out for him too well. As Rosu fires back and nails him.
He does. Indonesia looking a lot stronger on the terrorist side than what they did on the counter-terrorist side. So hopefully, fingers crossed, a sign of things to come. Germany is going to be the double eco from them. And Indonesia, they've just got to take every round as it comes. Forget about what happened in the first half. Focus on getting the job done now here in the second half. And before you know it, those rounds will start to rack up.
Yeah, this is the thing. Bringing aim for aim, Indonesia are doing very well. And it's just the fact, on the T side, they're allowed more freedom on the map to split and pick. And they're doing a good job of it. But Tassin, lying wait in lower tunnels, has been able to connect a beautiful Deagle onto Frost Misty. Now, scavenging himself an AK as well. He is on a mission to just try and take down as many T's as he can, spraying away, but Alessa will be able to come out on top. The Deagle play is real as Nex connects one onto FLX though.
Yeah, he's looking to try and make it a double, but he does eventually get surrounded. Soifong will pick up the bomb, but little does he realize that Dennis, as well as decide to push tunnels, he'll pick up an AK-47, and he has armor. Let's see what damage he can deal.
Yeah, this could be really bad for Indonesia if they don't realize they are getting pushed from behind. Crystal hiding by Car in an interesting position here, of course. It's not as powerful as it used to be, and he's going for the taps. He's doing a fair bit of damage. Both players very low from him there. He's actually really good with the backup of Dennis from behind. He could just mow them down, Kaino.
Well, Dennis is sprinted right behind Indonesia. Flash is going to go over, and in theory, they should be pretty blind. They're going to try and recalibrate things as they try to plant this bomb, but he doesn't care. He's going straight in like a Panzer Shrek, wasting no time, but cannot get any more frags. 15-6. Indonesia, Dennis was chasing her. It was like a game of tag in a school playground, but it makes you wonder, maybe if he hadn't taken a step back after getting that first kill to throw the flashbang and taking a second peek, he could have actually gotten that second Indonesian player who was low as well as they were jumping onto the site from A ramp.
This is the thing, hindsight is 2020, and it's just unfortunate the way things have gone from. But this is so much better from Indonesia, and this is what we wanted to see, them bringing a close fight, and they are doing it right now. But guns on either side, everyone loading up. This is where things could get a little bit ropey for them.
Yeah, especially now that Crystal has this AWP, a lot of grenades as well on the hands of Germany, a lot of smoke grenades, using to cut off checkpoints, try and slow their opponents down as soon as they get information. You can already see one of the German players actually trying to get pretty aggressive towards long, try and gather some information. That player is Tassin. But by the looks of things, with the bomb being dropped at the top of mid, Indonesia, they're probably going to try and mount an A push, especially as Resor's actually on shore.
FLX catching sight of the head there towards long. Knows he's in pit. Tries to get himself in a bit of a superior position. It will pay off for him, taking down Tassin. Can he do it again? Unfortunately not. Spiddy was too fast for him and stops that T-side push.
As the call's going to come in that one man is down on long and another actually rotated there, but little do they realize that Crystal's hiding on ramp. Alessa and Soifong, the last two Indonesians left standing, and how long are they going to be standing for? Crystal wants to put an end to this game, but he's missing AWP shots left, right and center. Nex is going to
man, but Soifong, he's so far out of position, not a lot of health left on him. Literally, they could breathe on him to take him down, and through the wall, Dennis will connect the bullet straight into his cranium.
Congratulations, Germany. Credit where it's due, in my opinion, for that fight back, or semi-fight back from Indonesia on the terrorist side. There were glimpses of positive play, and it makes you wonder whether the score would have looked, at least on paper, so one-sided, if and maybe if Indonesia had actually started on the terrorist side themselves.
That's the thing, as we were saying, they had a little bit more freedom to run away with things. And they did. So well played to him there to bring back to a more respectable scoreline.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, it doesn't mean Indonesia are out just yet. It's a GSL format in each group. Indonesia have lost, therefore they're going to drop down to the lower bracket in this group, and they'll face the loser of the next game in this group. But in general, what were your thoughts on that game?
I mean, it was interesting. That's the thing, starting on the CT side, of course, things were a little bit slow for them. They tried the slow pace, didn't really pay off, and they brought it up.
And over to you, Scoots.
Say bad things, so we've been muting ourselves. So sorry about that.
Not that we say bad things.
Not that we would ever say bad things.
I was just enjoying a delicious snack off treat.
Yeah, I know.
Look at my Twitter if you want to see what I'm talking about. Very delicious, highly recommended.
So thank you, Jackie and Kynite. Again, kind of, as you all called it, pretty much Germany doing their thing. I thought one of the neat things was, Indonesia pulled the timeout out of their pocket, like a good team should.
Yeah.
Obviously did not really work out for them after the timeout, but at least they're thinking like that kind of team, like, hey, we need to call timeout, we're dropping too many rounds.
Well, I think where it was perhaps differed a little bit from how we're sort of playing out, when I saw Indonesia were going to start on that CT side, I thought, okay, well, they got a platform here. This is where you're going to get the rounds. But actually, they were better on T side. So
Yeah, I mean, they weren't really far off from getting a good start on that CT side. That pistol round, they opened up with three quick kills, and they definitely could have, gotten a bit of a snowball from there on out. Maybe picked up 3 early rounds. That could have changed things around. They had a couple of close calls, but in the end, you could just see that Germany are, on average, a better team individually, and that's really what came to close it.
Yeah, and like we also talk about a lot with North America, maybe not so much as we used to, but they're so isolated over there that even if you're the best in your region, if your region only beats up on each other and you don't get to experience arguably the best in the world, how do you get past, because you maybe even get lazy in your country because, you beat everybody.
Yeah, and you saw in that game, like, Germany played with no respect whatsoever. I mean, on terrorist side, to get 13 rounds is unreal on Dust 2, so they didn't care whatsoever. In most of the time, they won all the aim duels they needed to, so it didn't even look like they were at max strength. Like they weren't playing that tactical slow style like I said the German teams do. They did whatever they wanted, basically, and it worked.
And so, obviously, the two losers of the group are Serbia and Indonesia, so they will play each other next. But the next match we're going to do, because we're going to take a quick break, but I just want to chat about that, because there's really not much to talk about this group.
No, I mean, it was a one-sided stomp. What I will say, just pretty much tactically, exactly Duncan's hit the nail on the head there, that they didn't really need to do anything. There wasn't lots of smokes and flashes and slow build-ups or anything like that. It was just run around, and we know we can win the aim duels. By contrast, I think Indonesia as well, they had that little brief moment on T side where they got to run arounds together, managed to kind of break the economy of Germany, makes the scoreline a little bit more flattering than it was. But realistically, they were never in the game. Germany never had to dig too deep. That was a really good warm-up for their tournament.
We're going to do the loser match next, which again is going to be Indonesia, and then we'll come back and do the next one, and then the decider. And obviously, everything that's happening in Group B, Group B got a little strange. It ended up being a 3-team round robin because, again, China dropped out. They were not able to replace it with anyone. So instead of just giving someone an automatic bye into that winner bracket, they just decided to make it an old school.
It was actually Portugal in that group, I think, wasn't it?
No, it was China.
Was that the Chinese group?
China then couldn't go. Portugal, they were going to try to get into, and then they couldn't get their flights organized, so then they couldn't invite anybody else. Right. But Portugal almost snuck in. So, yeah, we got a graphic here in front of you guys so you can actually see some stats. Again, 16-6.
And it kind of said it all for Germany, that Speedy, in theory of the players here, should be like the 4th best player, but he was styling on Indonesia, had a very big game. It's very rare in mouse sports you would have seen him have huge games like that, but obviously in this particular game, nobody could do anything against him, and he absolutely shone. Some of the others didn't even have to necessarily do so much, and they still were easily ahead of the game.
Yeah.
But decent fragging overall from some of the Indonesia players.
Although the guy you pointed out, Rousseau, well, I guess, no. I mean, yeah, they're all equally kind of not doing great. So, yeah, in a sense, I guess he is best of the.
Yeah, he wasn't really able to carry. And I mean, that's what you expect. The way Germany was sort of just moving around the map, that disrespectful style, we're just going to group up on that T side and just make it difficult for you. There's not really anything you can do about that when you are coming up just against better.
All right, final thoughts on this matchup?
I guess, valiant effort from Indonesia. I think it would have been better off starting on the T side. Place makes it really hard to play if you're not really in tune with what you're doing on the CT side. So, unfortunate for Indonesia, but they still have another match to go, so they can get a good showing.
Yeah.
I mean, what I think is interesting is that having seen Germany play here, admittedly against different competition, Germany against Sweden is going to be a very interesting matchup. That's one that Germany can definitely win, and maybe they can even bully them like they did here, because they've got the aimers in theory. So I think that will be quite an interesting matchup to decide who comes out first.
Okay, so again, we're going to take a break. One of the teams gets to stay, so Indonesia doesn't have to reset up, but obviously Serbia has to come back up, set up all their peripherals and everything. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will bring you that final match of these two teams. One's going to go home, Indonesia versus Serbia. So join us in a few minutes.